Being smart is a trap. Most people are at level 7 on this list. But level 1? Level 1 is a man with an IQ of 300, who died broke and hiding from the world. Let's untangle why being a genius might actually destroy you. Point 7. Average intelligence. The comfortable trap. Most people live here, and most people think they don't. Average intelligence means you can read, write, do basic math, follow instructions, and hold a conversation without accidentally starting a cult. You understand cause and effect. You make plans. You learn from mistakes.
Ouch!
Eventually. Here's the thing, this level feels like the ceiling, but it's actually just the floor. You're smart enough to think you understand everything, but not sharp enough to realize how many blind spots you have. You confuse being right with being informed. You rarely ask deeper questions because why would you? Life works fine the way it is. Teachers, drivers, nurses, small business owners, they're all here. The world doesn't run without average intelligence. It's functional, stable, comfortable, but it's also sticky. This level traps more people than any other, not because they're incapable of growth, but because they never feel the need to try. Comfort is the enemy of curiosity. And speaking of curiosity, what happens when you actually start seeing patterns everyone else misses?
Point 6. Above average.
The speed curse. Above average intelligence is where thought gets fast. You don't just learn, you leap. You spot patterns before they fully form. You see problems developing 3 steps ahead, while everyone else is still figuring out step 1. School probably felt slow, repetitive, like waiting in line at the DMV for 12 years straight. But here's the shadow side. You see too much, too early. You might talk less because you're editing yourself mid-sentence. You fake being normal just to keep the peace. Conversations feel like you're running a marathon, while everyone else is still tying their shoes. This level breeds frustration, not because other people are stupid, but because they're not fast enough to sync with your processing speed. And if you're not careful, high intelligence becomes high detachment. You float above the noise, but forget how to be human in it. But what if your brain isn't just fast? What if it's optimized? Point 5, high intelligence. The efficiency paradox. High intelligence typically refers to IQs between 130 and 145, the top 2% of the population. These people don't just learn quickly. They make intuitive leaps. They see solutions before others even identify the problem. But here's where it gets weird. Scientists scanned high IQ brains expecting to find more neurons, more connections, more everything. Instead, they found the opposite. Only about 6% of gray matter in the brain appears related to IQ. Higher intelligence is actually associated with sparser neural wiring. Fewer connections, but way more efficient. The key areas? The prefrontal cortex, where you plan and make decisions, and the posterior temporal regions, where you process language and recognize patterns. These areas have thicker gray matter, but fewer dendritic branches. Translation, fewer wires, but each wire handles exponentially more information. Think of it like this. A genius brain isn't a crowded highway with more lanes. It's a perfectly optimized network with fewer, faster routes. Your brain doesn't need to work harder. It just works smarter. Here's a practical example. Chess grandmasters can play 20 games simultaneously, often while blindfolded. They're not thinking harder than you. They've just eliminated unnecessary processing steps. Their brains recognize patterns instantly that would take an average player minutes to calculate. It's pure efficiency. The catch? These minds often feel isolated during youth. Their cognitive speed outpaces their emotional development. They're solving calculus while still figuring out how to make friends. But when supported, they become innovators. Engineers, scientists, the people who push boundaries. And then there's the next level, where exceptional ability becomes undeniable. Point 4. Gifted, the reset button. This is where the pattern breaks. Gifted individuals, usually IQs above 145, don't just solve problems. They reframe them. From an early age, they show rare speed, depth, and originality. Strong memory, laser focus, the ability to connect big ideas across totally different subjects. They might teach themselves piano at 6, build functioning machines out of trash, write novels before high school. They don't just absorb information, they synthesize it in ways that seem years ahead of their age. But giftedness comes with a price. Frustration with slow systems, isolation from peers, and emotions that run as fast as their thoughts. Their minds are turbocharged, so are their feelings. Here's what most people don't understand. A gifted 8-year-old doing 12th grade math while struggling to make friends at recess. Isn't contradictory, it's expected. Cognitive development and emotional development don't move at the same speed. You can understand quantum mechanics and still cry when someone excludes you from dodgeball. And then there are the twice exceptional students. Gifted kids who also have ADHD, autism, or learning disabilities. Their intelligence is undeniable, but the school system can't figure out what to do with them. Too advanced for regular classes, too disruptive for gifted programs. So they sit in the middle, bored out of their minds, underperforming because nobody challenges them. Most school systems aren't built for gifted students. They're built for the average. So these kids learn to hide, to dumb themselves down, to trade intellectual growth for social acceptance. Now, here's the twist nobody talks about. You've probably heard that highly intelligent people are more depressed, more anxious, more lonely. The tortured genius myth. It's everywhere, and it's mostly wrong. The largest study ever conducted on this, 61,500 people from the UK Biobank, found that high IQ individuals actually had less anxiety, PTSD, and trauma than average people. They weren't sadder. They were just more likely to seek diagnosis because they were more self-aware and less afraid of the stigma. The real paradox. Smart people aren't broken. They're just more likely to admit when they need help. But what about the people who don't just master one field, but all of them? Point 3, polymath, the range weapon. Polymaths are geniuses with range. While a typical genius might master one domain, a polymath masters many. Leonardo da Vinci designed machines, painted masterpieces, and studied human anatomy. Benjamin Franklin shaped science, politics, and journalism. What defines this level isn't just absorbing knowledge. It's synthesizing it across disciplines. Polymaths don't see subjects as separate. They find patterns linking math to music, biology to philosophy, art to engineering. But here's what you need to know. The Leonardo da Vinci polyphasic sleep myth? That's not accurate. You've probably heard he only slept 2 hours a day, 20 minutes every 4 hours. Legendary productivity hack, right? Except historians couldn't find a single credible source documenting his sleep habits. In fact, his own writings suggest he valued proper sleep. He literally wrote, "As a well-spent day brings happy sleep, so a life well used brings happy death." Even more telling, witnesses reported Leonardo working on the Last Supper from dawn to dusk, forgetting food and drink. That's a normal workday, not some insane 22-hour grind. The polyphasic sleep myth was invented in the 20th century and slapped onto his legacy. Stop trying to copy routines that never existed. Polymath intelligence demands time, discipline, and a deep love of learning, but it doesn't require destroying your circadian rhythm. And yet there's still one level higher, where intelligence stops being about answers and starts being about questions. Point 2, genius, the architecture breaker. Genius intelligence isn't just a faster processor. It's a different architecture. Geniuses don't solve problems. They rebuild the logic beneath them. They don't master rules. They question why the rules exist in the first place. Think Einstein. Think Ramanujan. Think people whose brains don't just run faster. They run sideways. This level brings paradigm shifts. Entire fields get redefined when these people speak. Science, philosophy, art, all rewritten. Take Srinivasa Ramanujan, a self-taught Indian mathematician who claimed formulas appeared to him in dreams. Delivered by a Hindu goddess, he had almost no formal training. Yet he produced theorems that took decades for other mathematicians to prove or even understand. His intuition was so advanced it looked like magic. Or Einstein, he didn't discover relativity by crunching numbers. He did it through thought experiments. He imagined riding a beam of light. He pictured what would happen if you fell in an elevator in space. His genius wasn't computational, it was conceptual. But here's the kicker. Geniuses are often spectacularly wrong at first. Einstein rejected quantum mechanics for decades, insisting God does not play dice with the universe. He was wrong. Ramanujan's notebooks contained theorems that were incorrect, but the errors themselves led to new branches of mathematics. Genius isn't about being right. It's about seeing the problem from an angle nobody else considered. But here's what nobody tells you. Genius doesn't feel like a gift to the person holding it. It often feels like isolation at light speed. People can't keep up. Institutions can't accommodate. Even praise feels like a mistranslation. And most of the time, geniuses are punished before they're praised. Too radical, too strange, too soon. Now, you'd think the smartest person alive would be the ultimate example of this. But what if the smartest person alive doesn't even believe in genius? Point one, the man too smart to survive. Terence Tao has the highest confirmed IQ in the world, 230. At age 13, he won a gold medal at the International Mathematical Olympiad, becoming one of the youngest champions ever. Today, he's a Fields medalist, basically the Nobel Prize of math. He's solved problems that stumped humanity for centuries. And here's what makes him extraordinary. He rejects the entire concept of genius. In interviews, Tao insists that what really matters is hard work, directed by intuition, literature, and a bit of luck. He's known for being humble, collaborative. He insists you don't need to be a genius to contribute to mathematics. He's married, has kids, had a normal social life growing up. The smartest person alive doesn't think he's special. But there's someone who was even smarter. And his story is a warning. William James Sidis had an estimated IQ between 250 and 300, the highest ever recorded. He entered Harvard at age 11, graduated at 16, could speak multiple languages before age 9. Newspapers called him the smartest person who ever lived. His father, Boris Sidis, was a psychologist, obsessed with proving his theories on child development. William wasn't just encouraged to learn. He was engineered, pushed, displayed, turned into a living experiment for his father's ambitions. By the time William was a teenager, he was famous, and he hated it. The media followed him everywhere. Reporters mocked him. Classmates resented him. He gave lectures to packed halls of adults who came to gawk at the boy genius like he was a circus act. So he ran. After Harvard, William rejected academia. He took random jobs: office clerk, factory worker, low-level bookkeeper. He wrote obscure books under fake names about topics nobody cared about. He lived in tiny apartments, avoided attention, and refused to use his intelligence for anything the world would recognize. Here's the tragic part. He died in poverty at age 46 from a stroke. His sister claimed he took an IQ test a few years before his death, and the psychologist said the scores were between 250 and 300, the highest he'd ever seen. Sidis spent his final years working menial jobs, deliberately hiding his intelligence. He rejected fame. He rejected academia. He wanted to be forgotten. And for the most part, he was. The man with the highest IQ ever recorded didn't change the world. He didn't win awards. He didn't leave a legacy. He just disappeared. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Intelligence doesn't guarantee happiness. It doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't even guarantee you'll want to use it. Sometimes being too smart means seeing too much, feeling too much, caring too much about a world that will never understand you. Sidis wasn't too smart to survive. He was too smart to want to. And that's how spaghetti untangles intelligence. Turns out your IQ score doesn't define you. It's not a trophy. It's not a prison. It's just a tool, one of many. The smartest person alive says genius doesn't matter. The smartest person who ever lived wanted to disappear. And maybe that's the real lesson. Intelligence is only as valuable as what you choose to do with it. So whether you're average, above average, or somewhere in the stratosphere, what matters isn't how fast your brain runs. It's whether you're running towards something worth reaching. See you in the next episode.